A Museum Organization Resource Guide. Chapter 1. Museum Organization Resource Guide. Museum Organizations/Museum Resources 1. MuseumCommons.com. Museum.ia.nl. AAMD.net, the Association of Art Museum Directors. AAMD.org, Association of Art Museum Directors, New York, New York. AAM-US.org, American Association of Museums Washington, D.C. aam-us.org/aamlatest/index.cfm, AAM Latest Museum News. Mediaandtechnology.org, AAM Media and Technology Committee. vlib.us, links to Hidtori. AASLH.org, American Association for State and Local History, Nashville, TN. Abanet.org/museum, Museum of Law ABBA. About.museum, Musedoma, Museum Domain Management Association. AMN.org, Art Museum Network. Archimuse.com. artpromote.com/museum.shtml, Art Promote Guide to Art Museums and Museum Exhibitions arranged by subject and region. blackmuseums.org, Association of African American Museums, Wilberforce, Ohio. blackmuseums.org, Association of African American Museums, Wilberforce, Ohio. cdpheritage.org, Collaborative Digitization Program. CIMI.org, CIMI, the Consortium for the Computer Interchange of Museum Information. cr.nps.gov/archaeology, National Park Service Archaeological Collections. ed.gov/pub/ach-goal1/ims.html, Institute of Museum Services. eduweb.com. eusa.org, Exhibits USA Mid-America Arts Alliance. firstgov.gov, U.S. Government site. flamuseums.org, Florida Association of Museums. futureofmuseums.org, AAM Center for the Future of Museums. heritagepreservation.org, Heritage Preservation Washington, D.C. historysches-centrum.de, Virtual Library Museum English version. icom.museum, ICOM, International Council of Museums, Paris. imls.gov, Institute of Museum and Library Science, IMLS, Washington, D.C. imls.gov, Institute of Museum and Library Science, IMLS, Washington, D.C. imls.gov/resources/resources.shtm, Museum Data Collection, Institute of Museum and Library Services. imls.gov/resources/resources.shtm, Museum Data Collection, Institute of Museum and Library Services, ILMS. imtal.org, International Museum Theater Alliance. intercom.museum. kansasheritage.org, Kansas Heritage Group. kansashistory.us, Kansas History websites. keyingredients.org, Key Ingredients, America by Food, Smithsonian Institution Traveling Exhibition. maa.org, Mid-America Arts Alliance. mainmuseums.org, Main Archives and Museums, MAM. mediaandtechnology.org, AAM Media and Technology Committee. mediaandtechnology.org, AAM Media and Technology Committee. mnhs.org, Minnesota Historical Society. mpma.net, Mountain Plains Museums Association. museumnews.net, museum-related news from around the world. museumonmainstreet.org/index.htm, Museum on Main Street, a partnership project of the Smithsonian Institution. museums.wikia.com/wiki/museumswiki. museumstudies.si.edu. museumstudies.si.edu/fmp.htm, #alum, Fellowships in Museum Practice. museumsusa.org, links if you click on organizations at the bottom of the page. Museum Organizations/Museum Resources 2. ncph.org, National Council on Public History. NEA.gov, National Endowment for the Arts, Washington, D.C. NEH.gov, National Endowment for the Humanities, Washington, D.C. NEH.gov, National Endowment for the Humanities, Washington, D.C. PrintCouncil.org, Print Council of America. smallmuseum.org/index.html, Small Museum Association. ulibi.iupui.edu/cade/gahist.html, German American Historic Sites and Museums, Max Cade German American Center. vlib.iue.it/history/bibliography/museums.html, History Museums. vlib.us/aam, Small Museums and Technology Panel Resource Guide. vlib.us/americanwest/museums.htm, Old West Museums. vlib.us/history/artmuseums.html, US Art Museums. vlib.us/history/data.html, US History Databases. vlib.us/history/maps.html, US History Maps. vlib.us/history/preservation.html, US Historic Preservation. vlib.us/history/sites.html, USA Historic Sites. vlmp.museophile.com, International Museum Directory, Museophile and International Council of Museums. vlib.us/mpm@ecom.html, #consultants, museum consultants, MPMA Technology Committee, Mountain Plains Museums Association. vlib.us/mpm@ecom.html, museums, web social networks and virtual reality. vlib.us/websitetools.html, website tools for non-profits. youtube.com/oldxbeat, museums on YouTube. Museum organizations/museum resources 3. Advisory Council on Historic Preservation. 1100 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest, No. 803. Washington, D.C. 20004. achp.gov. American Arts Alliance. 1211 Connecticut Avenue Northwest, SUITE 200. Washington, D.C. 20036. AmericanaRTSAlliance.org. American Association for the Advancement of Science. 1200 New York Avenue Northwest. Washington, D.C. 20005. AAAS.org. American Association for Museum Volunteers. POB 9494. Washington, D.C. 20016. ANSB.org/hosted/AAMV. American Association of Museums. 1575 I Street Northwest, No. 400. Washington, D.C. 20005. AAM-US.org. American Institute for Conservation of Historic and Artistic Works. 1156 15th Street Northwest, No. 320. Washington, D.C. 20005. aic.stanford.edu. Association of Art Museum Directors. 120 East 56th Street, No. 520. New York, New York 10022. aamd.org. Association of College and University Museums and Galleries. acumg.org. Association of Railway Museums. 1016 Rosser Street, Conyers, Georgia 30012. railwaymuseum.org. Association of Science Technology Centers. 1025 Vermont Avenue Northwest, No. 500. Washington, D.C. 20005. asdc.org. Association of Children's Museums. 1300 L Street, NW, No. 975. Washington, D.C. 20005. childrensmuseums.org. Association for Living Historical Farms and Agricultural Museums. 8774 Route 45 Northwest, North Bloomfield, Ohio 44450. alhfam.org. Canada Council for the Arts. 350 Albert Street. epub 1047. Ottawa, on K1P5V8. Canada. CanadaCouncil.ca. Canadian Museums Association. 280 Metcalfe Street No. 400. Ottawa, on K2P1R7. Canada. Museums.ca. Costume Society of America. 203 Town Center Drive. Hillsborough, New Jersey 08844. CostumesSocietyAmerica.com. International Association of Museum Facility Administrators. epub 277. Groton, Massachusetts 01450. IAMFA.org. International Council on Monuments and Sites. 401 F Street NW, number 331. Washington, D.C. 20001. Ecommerce.org. Museums USA. 9719 Natalie's Way. Ellicott City, Maryland 21042. MuseumsUSA.org. Natural Science Collections Alliance. 1313 Dolly Madison Boulevard No. 402. McLean, Virginia 22101. NSCalliance.org. Museum Organizations/Museum Resources for Archives and Museums Informatics, ANMI. Archimuse.com. American Anthropological Association, AAA. AAAnet.org. American Public Gardens Association. PublicGardens.org. American Alliance of Museums, AAM. AAM-US.org. American Folklore Society, AFS. AFSnet.org. Association of African American Museums, AAAM. BlackMuseums.org. Association of Art Museum Directors, AAMD. AAMD.org. American Association for State and Local History, AASLH. AASLH.org. Association of Zoos and Aquariums, AZA. AZA.org. Association of Academic Museums and Galleries. AAMG-US.org. American Federation of Arts, AFA. AFAweb.org. American Institute for Conservation of Historic and Artistic Work, AIC. CONSERVATION-US.org. ArtsWatch ArtsUSA.org. The Association for Living History, Farm and Agricultural Museums, ALHFAM. ALHFAM.org. American Law Institute American Bar Association, ALIABA. ALI-ABA.org. Association of Midwest Museums, AM. Midwestmuseums.org. Association of Railway Museums. Railwaymuseum.org. Association of Science Technology Centers, ASTC. ASTC.org. Association of Children's Museums, ACM. Childrensmuseums.org. Australian Museum Audience Research Centre. australianmuseum.net.au/audience-research. Board source, formerly the National Centre for Non-Profit Boards. boardsource.org. Catalogue of Federal Domestic Assistance. cfda.gov. Center for Nonprofit Management. cnm.org. College Art Association, CAA. collegeart.org. Committee on Audience Research and Evaluation, CARE. care-aam.org. Committee on Museum Professional Training, COMPT. compt-aam.org. Council for Museum Anthropology, CMA. museumanthropology.org. Economuseum Network. economices.com. European Heritage Network. european-heritage.net/sdx/herein. Federation of State Humanities Councils, FSHC. statehumanities.org. Fire Science Online. firescience.org. FirstGov for Nonprofits. usa.gov/business/business_gateway.html. Foundation for Jewish Culture. jewishculture.org. Foundation Center. foundationcenter.org. Group for Education in Museums, GEM. gem.org.uk. Heritage Preservation. heritagepreservation.org. HNet Network for Museums and Museum Studies. h-net.org/museum/index.html. International Council of Museums, ICOM. icom.museum. International Council on Monuments and Sites, Ecommerce. ecommerce.org. International Center for the Study of the Preservation and Restoration of Cultural Property, ICROM. icrom.org. ICOM, Latin America, ILAM. ilam.org. Institute of Museum and Library Services, IMLS. imls.gov. International Museum Theatre Alliance. imtal.org. The Library of Congress, LC. loc.gov. Making National Museums, NAMU. namu.se. Map for Nonprofits. mapfornonprofits.org. Mid-Atlantic Association of Museums, MAM. midatlanticmuseums.org. Museum Assessment Program, MAP. aam-us.org. Museum Computer Network, MCN. mcn.edu. Museum Education Roundtable, MARE. museumeducation.info. Museum Educators of Southern California, MESC. mesconline.org. Museums Connect. aam-us.org/resources/international/museums connect. Mountain Plains Museum Association, MPMA. mountplainsmuseums.org. Museum Security Network, MSN. museum-security.org. Museum Store Association, MSA. museumstourassociation.org. Museum Trustee Association, MTA. mta-hq.org. Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, NAGPRA. cr.nps.gov/nagpra/l. National Association of Interpretation, NI. interpnet.com. National Association for Museum Exhibition, NAME. name-aam.org. National Association of Tribal Historic Preservation Officers. nathpo.org/minepage.html. The National Archives and Records Administration, NARA. archives.gov. National Art Education Association. arteducators.org. National Assembly of State Arts Agencies, NASAA. nasaa-arts.org. National Council on Public History, NCPH. ncph.org. Museum Organizations/Museum Resources 5. National Endowment for the Arts, NEA. arts.gov. National Endowment for the Humanities, NEH. NEH.gov. National Fire Protection Association, NFPA. NFPA.org. New England Museum Association, NEMA. Nemaniti.org. National Humanities Alliance, NA. NHAlliance.org. National Park Service, NPS. NPS.gov. NPS History and Culture cr.nps.gov/linkclause.htm. National Center for Preservation Technology and Training, NCPT. ncptt.nps.gov. National Science Foundation/Informal Science Education Program, NSF. nsf.gov. The Nonprofit Times, NPT. thenonprofittimes.com. National Trust for Historic Preservation, NTHP. preservationnation.org. Natural Science Collections Alliance. nscalliance.org. Northeast Document Conservation Center, NEDC. netcc.org. Official Museum Directory, OMD. OMD-ONLINE.com, seems dead. Pacific Islands Museums Association, PIMA. Collectionsaustralia.net/PIMA. Performing Arts Alliance. theperformingartsalliance.org/performingarts/pa_home_page.html. Society of American Archivists, SAA. Archivists.org. Southeastern Museums Conference, SEMC. semcdirect.net. Smithsonian Institution, SI. SI.edu. Smithsonian Institution Resource Information Service, CIRIS. ciris.si.edu. The Society for the Preservation of Natural History Collections, SPNHC. sbnhc.org. Visitor Studies Association, VSA. visitorstudies.org. Western Museums Association, WMA. westmuse.org. World Monuments Fund, WMF. wmf.org. Center for World Indigenous Studies. cwis.org. Zunia, Knowledge Exchange. zunia.org/cat/culture. Museum Organizations/Museum Resources 6. American Association of Museums. 1575 IST Northwest. Number 400. Washington, D.C. 20005. 202-289-9122. aam-us.org. American Association of Botanical Gardens and Arboreta. 786 Church Road, Wayne, Pennsylvania 19087. 610-688-1120. obga.org. For information about curatorial careers in botanical gardens. American Association of Museums. 1225 I Street, NW. Number 200. Washington, D.C. 20005. 202-289-1818. aam-us.org. Association of Canadian Archivists. POG 2596, Station D. Ottawa, on K1P5W6. Archivists.ca. Society of American Archivists. 527 South Wells Street, 5th floor. Chicago, Illinois 60607. Archivists.org. Academy of Certified Archivists. 90 State Street, number 1009. Albany, New York 12207. CertifiedArchivists.org. Association of Records Managers and Administrators. 4200 Somerset Drive. Number 215. Prairie Village, Kansas 66208. 913-341-3808. 913-752-4030, Jobline. National Association for Interpretation. POG 1892. FT. Collins, Colorado 80522. 970-484-8283. Jobs in Interpretation, Weekly. Interpreters are people with cultural knowledge who give tours and talk to people. R.R. Boker Co. 121 Shanlin Road, New Providence, New Jersey 07974-1541. 888 Boker 2. 908-464-6800. Fax, 908-464-3553. info@boker.com. boker.com. redref.com. The Official Museum Directory. Society of American Archivists. 527 South Wells St. 5th FL. Chicago, Illinois 60607-1452. 312-922-0140. Fax, 347-1452. Archivists.org. Archival Outlook, SAA Employment Bulletin, published every 2 months. Also a directory of members. Museum Organizations/Museum Resources 7. American Alliance of Museums, AAM. 2451 Crystal Drive. 1005. Arlington, Virginia 22202. 866-226-2150. Info Center at aam-us.org. aam-us.org. Archives and Museum Informatics, AMI. 158 Lee Avenue. Toronto, on M4E2P3 Canada. 416-691-2516. Info at archimuse.com. archimuse.com. Art Museum Network. artmuseumnetwork.com. Association of Children's Museums, ACM. 2711 Jefferson Davis Highway. 600. Arlington, Virginia 22202-4028. 703-224-3100. ACM at childrensmuseums.org. childrensmuseums.org. Museum Computer Network. mcn.edu. Museum Spot. museumspot.com. New England Museum Association, NEMA. 22 Mill Street. 409. Arlington, Massachusetts 02476-4744. 781-641-0013. Nemonete.org. Smithsonian Center for Museum Studies, SCMS. POG 37012. Washington, D.C. 20013-7012. 202-633-1000. Info at si.edu. museumstudies.si.edu. The American Alliance of Museums. aam-us.org. Chapter 2. A list of Museum Association websites at museumsusa.org/assocs. Museum Association websites. Alabama Museums Association, alabamamuseums.org. Birmingham, Alabama. American Association for State and Local History. AASLH.org. Nashville, Tennessee. American Craft Council. craftcouncil.org. Minneapolis, Minnesota. American Institute for Conservation of Historic and Artistic Works. conservation-us.org. Washington, District of Columbia. AIC is the national membership organization supporting conservation professionals in preserving cultural heritage by establishing and upholding professional standards. American Library Association. ALA.org. Chicago, Illinois. American Public Gardens Association APGA. publicgardens.org. Kennett Square, Pennsylvania. American Recreation Coalition. funoutdoors.com. The American Zoo and Aquarium Association. AZA.org. Silver Spring, Maryland. Arkansas Museums Association. arkansasmuseums.org. Little Rock, Arkansas. Art Museum Network. artmuseumnetwork.com. United States. The Association for Living History. Farm and Agricultural Museums. alhfam.org. Rochdale, Massachusetts. Association of African American Museums. blackmuseums.org. Wilberforce, Ohio. Association of Children's Museums. childrensmuseums.org. Arlington, Virginia. Association of Historical Societies of New Hampshire. historicalsocietysnh.org. Ashland, New Hampshire. Association of Indiana Museums. indianamuseums.org. Indianapolis, Indiana. Association of Midwest Museums. MidwestMuseums.org. St. Louis, Missouri. The Association of Midwest Museums, AM. MidwestMuseums.org. Association of Nature Center Administrators. NatCTR.org. Logan, Utah. Association of Partners for Public Lands. PublicLandsAlliance.org. Association of Science Technology Centers. ASDC.org. Association of South Dakota Museums. SDmuseums.org. Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Harry P. Leu Gardens Organization. leugardens.org. Orlando, Florida. Midvale Museum Organization. midvalecity.org/visitors/midvale-museum. Midvale, Utah. Florida Association of Museums. FLAmuseums.org. Tallahassee, Florida. California Association of Museums. calmuseums.org. Santa Cruz, California. Association of Tribal Archives, Libraries, and Museums. atalam.org. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. 405-401-8293. atalaminfo@gmail.com. California Association of Museums. calmuseums.org. Santa Cruz, California. Citizens for Glen Ellen Preservation. glenellenpreservation.org. Glen Ellen, Illinois. Colorado-Wyoming Association of Museums. cwam-us.org. Denver, Colorado. Connecticut League of History Organizations. clho.org. New Britain, Connecticut. Country School Association of America. countryschoolassociation.org. League City, Texas. Delaware Museum Association. delmuseums.org. Dover, Delaware. Family Attractions Network of Hampton Roads. hrp.org. Portsmouth, Virginia. Fire Museum Network. firemuseumnetwork.org. Slinger, Wisconsin. Florida Art Museum Directors Association. floridaartmuseums.org. Tallahassee, Florida. Florida Association of Museums. flamuseums.org. Georgia Association of Museums and Galleries. gamg.org. Marietta, Georgia. Hawaii Museums Association. hawaiimuseums.org. Honolulu, Hawaii. Historic Connorsville Inc. historicconnorsville.org. Connorsville, Indiana. Historic House Museums Consortium. beachhousemuseums.org. Alexandria, Virginia. Historical Confederation of Kentucky. Frankfort, Kentucky. Idaho Association of Museums. idahomuseums.org. Moscow, Idaho. Illinois Association of Museums. illinoismuseums.org. Springfield, Illinois. Indiana Historical Society. indianahistory.org. International Committee for Museums of Ethnography. icme.icom.museum. Miami, Florida. International Foundation for Cultural Property Protection. ifcpp.org. International Society of Appraisers. isa-appraisers.org. Iowa Museum Association. iowamuseums.org. Cedar Falls, Iowa. Kansas Museums Association. ksmuseums.org. Topeka, Kansas. Kentucky Museum and Heritage Alliance. kymuseums.org. Louisiana Association of Museums. louisianamuseums.org. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Maine Archives and Museums. mainemuseums.org. Cumberland Center, Maine. Maryland Hotel and Lodging Association, mdlodging.org. Annapolis, Maryland. Maryland Museums Association, mehem.org. Bowie, Maryland. The Massachusetts Historical Society, masshistory.org. Boston, Massachusetts. Michigan Museums Association, michiganmuseums.org. Sheboygan, Michigan. Mid-Atlantic Germanic Society, magsgen.com. Glendale, Maryland. Minnesota Association of Museums, minnesotamuseums.org. Mississippi Museums Association, mississippimuseums.org. Jackson, Mississippi. Missouri Association for Museums and Archives, missourimuseums.org. Carthage, Missouri. Mountain Plains Museums Association, mpma.net. Littleton, Colorado. Museum Association of Arizona, azmuseums.org. Phoenix, Arizona. Museum Association of New York, nicemuseums.org. Troy, New York. Museum Association of Taos, taosmuseums.org. New Mexico. Museum Store Association, museumstourassociation.org. Museum Trustee Association, museumtrustee.org. Baltimore, Maryland. Museums Alaska, museumsalaska.org. Anchorage, Alaska. Museums and the Web LLC, museumsandtheweb.com. Museums Association of Montana, montanamuseums.org. Helena, Montana. Mystic Valley Railway Society, Inc. Hyde Park, Massachusetts. mysticvalleyars.org. The National Association for Interpretation, interpnet.com. Fort Collins, Colorado. National Genealogical Society, ngsgenealogy.org. Nebraska Museums Association, nebraskamuseums.org. Lincoln, Nebraska. Nevada Museums Association, nevadamuseums.org. Fallon, Nevada. New England Appraisers Association, newenglandappraisers.org. Memphis, Tennessee. New England Museum Association, nemanete.org. Arlington, Massachusetts. New Jersey Association of Museums, newjerseymuseums.org. Jersey City, New Jersey. New Mexico Association of Museums, nmmuseums.org. Albuquerque, New Mexico. North American Reciprocal Museum, NARM, Association, narmassociation.org. Simpsonville, South Carolina. North Carolina Museums Council, ncmuseums.org. Raleigh, North Carolina. Ohio Museums Association, ohiomuseums.org. Columbus, Ohio. Oklahoma Museums Association, okmuseums.org. Oral History Association, oralhistory.org. Atlanta, Georgia. Oregon Museums Association, oregonmuseums.org. Portland, Oregon. PA Museums, pamuseums.org. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Rhode Island State Council on the Arts, arts.ri.gov. Providence, Rhode Island. San Francisco Maritime National Historical Park, maritime.org. San Francisco, California. Small Museum Association, smallmuseum.org. Society for Historic American Homes, historicamericanhomes.org. Owings, Maryland. Society for the Preservation of Ohio One-Room Schools. West Middletown, Ohio. Society for the Preservation of Old Mills, SPOM. SPOM.org. Doylestown, Pennsylvania. South Carolina Federation of Museums. scmuseums.com. Columbia, South Carolina. Southeastern Museums Conference. semcdirect.net. Serves 12 states throughout the Southeast: Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, Southern Virginia Artisan Center, southernvirginiaartisancenter.org, Martinsville, Virginia. State Historical Society of North Dakota. History.nd.gov. Bismarck, North Dakota. Tennessee Association of Museums. tnmuseums.org. Texas Association of Museums. texasmuseums.org. Austin, Texas. The Florida Lighthouse Association. floridalighthouses.org. St. Augustine, Florida. Trails West, Inc. emigranttrailswest.org. Reno, Nevada. Utah Museums Association. utahmuseums.org. Springville, Utah. Vermont Museum Association. vermonthistory.org. Var, Vermont. Virginia Association of Museums. vamuseums.org. Richmond, Virginia. Visitor Studies Association. visitorstudies.org. Rockville, Maryland. Washington Museum Association. washingtonmuseumassociation.org. Yakima, Washington. West Virginia Association of Museums. museumsofwv.org. Charleston, West Virginia. Western Museums Association. westmuse.org. Tulsa, Oklahoma. Western Pennsylvania Conservancy. waterlandlife.org. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Wisconsin Federation of Museums. wisconsinmuseums.org. Madison, Wisconsin. Wyoming Association of Museums. museumsusa.org/assocs/info/1540. Cheyenne, Wyoming. Yukon Historical and Museums Association. yukonalaska.com/yhma. Whitehorse, Canada. Coalitions and networks of museum groups at museumsusa.org/assocs. American Recreation Coalition. funoutdoors.com. Washington, District of Columbia. American Public Gardens Association, APGA. publicgardens.org. Kennett Square, Pennsylvania. Art Museum Network. artmuseumnetwork.com. United States. American Association for State and Local History. AASLH.org. Association of African American Museums. blackmuseums.org. Wilberforce, Ohio. Association of Science Technology Centers. ASDC.org. Washington, District of Columbia. Association of Children's Museums. childrensmuseums.org. Arlington, Virginia. Association of Partners for Public Lands. publiclandsalliance.org/home. Silver Spring, Maryland. California Association of Museums. calmuseums.org. Santa Cruz, California. Citizens for Glen Ellen Preservation. glenellenpreservation.org. Glen Ellen, Illinois. Family Attractions Network of Hampton Roads. hrp.org. Portsmouth, Virginia. Fire Museum Network. FireMuseumNetwork.org. Slinger, Wisconsin. Historic House Museums Consortium. International Foundation for Cultural Property Protection. IFCPP.org. Denver, Colorado. International Committee for Museums of Ethnography. Museum Store Association. MuseumsTourAssociation.org. Washington, District of Columbia. Museums and the Web LLC. museumsandtheweb.com. Silver Spring, Maryland. Society for the Preservation of Ohio One-Room Schools. Society for the Preservation of Old Mills, SPOM. SPOM.org. Doylestown, Pennsylvania. The American Zoo and Aquarium Association. AZA.org. Silver Spring, Maryland. Trails West, Inc. EmigrantTrailsWest.org. Reno, Nevada. Association of Nature Center Administrators. NatCTR.org.